Hello everyone, my name's Michael, or otherwise known as Talscar, and I'm showing you the ZL to show people common spots as I plan to make an ad and what I want to avoid. So the first area of rust that we're looking at right now, as you can see, it's already been replaced with a new piece of steel. It's not completely finished, as you can see. The steel is too thick, but we managed to get it in. It needs some grinding and some stuff done, but it also needs pictures taken. This is the original piece that came out, and it was only cut out because it was really horrible, as you can see here. Pretty bad all the way around. This was a vent. There was a lot of common rust around these vents, and there is still an original one there, but I refused to touch it due to there being two bolts. I think this is one of the bolts, maybe, but I could show you from the inside. But anyway, the common spots of rust are inside, and if you cannot see, this little headlight will help me show you. But as you can see, there is plenty of rust. It hasn't been cleaned up much, but it came like this, the rust. This vehicle has been out in the weather at least 10 years, but it was almost perfect aside from that. And it was starting to get worked on 10 years ago, but from inexperience and being a bit young, I didn't have enough tools or stuff to use, and I wasn't allowed to use the tools I'm allowed to use today. Yes, the radiator is a bit rusty, as you can see. It's common with radiators, so we won't worry about that. Water, however, I suspect that some cars will rust where the headlights are here normally. There'll be rust down here because there are no ways for the water to get out. Not in this one anyway. Both sides. The only holes are here and here. So I suspect there'll be rust there. I haven't gotten that far down here yet, as you can see, because the engine's still in. So I have no idea if there's anything down there. Structural integrity problems. You would be surprised that this was an invisible hole. If you can see it, it's been cut out already. The original piece is in pieces, I think, because most of the pieces were in a bag, and I took them to a place where I got supplied some steel for this. But this is a structural integrity, left side of the car. You would not see that rust hole if you did not remove the panel plastic cover on the inside here. The only signs that there was for this was the cigarette lighter had been distorted or changed colour because water was dripping on there. Some of the covers are cracked, so some of them are good and some of them are bad. I'm not sure where it is. There is another few of them laying around. There are some things with the cigarette lighters in them still. A box like this down here. But there is, the cigarette lighters distort and change colour normally, and the handles do too. I'm pretty sure we can show you one if there is. This door's broken. I fixed it again. But as you can see with this handle here, it's actually did the same thing as the other one. It changed colour from distortion. But there's normally a cigarette lighter roughly here or over here on the passenger side over there, and the cigarette lighter changes colour. And this one's been out in the weather a few months. And this would be the best example of how we could tell water was getting on it. So as you can see, the change in colour on top tells you. So there was a weird colour. I got sick from sleeping in this car, and yeah. A very, very, very common spot for rust to occur for some reason on both sides is right here. I have no idea why, but it might be because of the seals collect water and hold it there. As you can see, there's still some rust here, but we won't worry about that. It just gets cleaned up because it's not that major. And down here, mostly this spot is only on this side. That spot over there is okay. I haven't seen a problem over there, or I can't remember. And the air conditioner's out, so you have a bit of a clearer line of sight to what is going on inside the vehicle. As you can see, a new piece has been welded in, and if you cannot tell, this has actually been repainted. You can see a little bit of a funny spot right there. Where's rust? It's always rusty, and you can see here some more rust. That's a hole we should go over and show you again, but you can see most of the rust now from where we are now, and I see light through a crack in that white red stuff. So most of your rust, you'll say there is no rust on the car, but there is likely going to be rust in spots you cannot see. The only way you're going to see here is with an inspection camera or taking it apart. Now here's a shocker for you. There is rust in here where there was no way for water to get in here in the first place. So as you can see, there is a fair bit of rust. And there's a bit of rust, and you can just slightly see it from the camera there. Curves around. You can see it now very clearly. But there is rust in some awkward spots which make the job much harder to fix this and make it new again. If I was to leave this alone, another 10 years, it would be a bigger problem. Now if we can open up this door, which I think this is it is open, I think. Well, I don't think the door's going to open anytime soon. This one will, because it's fine. But here's a nice one for you. You guys are going to love what you see. Okay, so we won't worry about this so much. We know there's going to be rust where the seals are mostly. But this is a shocker for you. You look at this and you'll think to yourself, you cut that out, there was no rust there in the first place, but now there is because you cut it out. Well, unfortunately, I came along with a screwdriver because I saw little dots popping up, and I scraped it and there was bubbles. And I'm pretty sure we still have an original piece from one of the two sides. I'm pretty sure the other side needs the same job done to it, but I don't think I cut it out yet. So, on this side, I can't see nothing. I can feel some bumps over here, but there's nothing here apart from that. This feels like it was originally a water hole for some reason, and it's also cracking there. So that tells me enough to say there might be rust there. And we can do a test with a screwdriver if we have one over here. And if there's not one over here, we have to go and fetch one. This screwdriver is busted, but it will be very useful enough. If I can hit it just right in that spot, you might see some Okay, so it's not breaking so easy when I use light amount of force. I'm not using that much. It's just a sharp. But as you can see, it's been bogged up. This car was not 100% new when we got it. And as you can see, there is bog right here. So this car, for me, only rusted because someone modified it in some sections. It had been bogged up. So as you can tell, I could see pretty well there was something here, and I was guessing it was a water hole because there is a way for water to escape, but it all goes down and there's only a few holes down the bottom. Now this hole here was not here on the other side, so I'm going to assume that this rusted once before, or it was a drain hole but someone clogged it up. But I doubt someone clogged it up for particular reasons. So you can't see nothing here, but on the inside there was rust. Now unsuspectingly, you people think that the gutters are fine when you look at them, but we had another encounter where we were playing with this and we noticed that there was rusting. Now these are pretty weak down here. Well, actually it's pretty firm, but we had this wobbling hard. But as you can see, there is a gap there and there's rust all the way down. These covers are particularly difficult to take off, so this one is that. There was rust here, decided to weld a little bit. It's still got a hole there from the rust. There's some more cleaning up. In fact, this has to be done over again. As you can see, there's some rust there. Now, the biggest rust hole in the entire car would either be at the front or the back. I like to call this the biggest one here because of the location it is, but also how difficult it was to get to. So this is what we did. We filled up the whole boot with water because we'll clean it out. And you can see there is water in the boot still being held. So that's not very good. So we'll just move some stuff out and see if we can let it dry out. Having cardboard in the boot will just encourage it to rust. And I just noticed something that might be cracking up. That's the wiring. I'm just looking up here because this looks popped. But then again, it doesn't look welded properly. I'm only looking up here because I just noticed then that it looks popped. Yep, it's popped. As you can see, I'm moving it and these are welds. And yes, it's popped. So they're either welds or that's glue. Now welds don't break that easy, so I'm gonna guess it is glue. And as we can see here, there's water sitting in the car. This tool I've been looking for ages. It can go on the ground. Carpet should not go in the car, especially when you want it to stay dry. And you don't want the car to get too much more damaged, so front to the side. But we only had some rust on the fuel thing, but in here there was a ton of rust, still a little bit left. We can get down there enough. You can see a kinda little bit of rust still left in some spots. It's been patched and we still have to do another check. We haven't looked up here yet, see if there's any rust. One of the weirdest spots we had rust here. I cut this section out, but I'm not very happy with the job I did, so we'll be redoing it. It's because I can't get the settings quite right, so that was a problem. And yes, so here's an interesting look. This is what the window looks like before you start stripping it a little bit. Looks new, looks new, looks new, looks new, looks new. Now it's rusting, and you can see the rust down the very bottom. These are very weak sections. There is a bit of paint chip there, you can see right there, it's cracked up. And apart from this, the gutter's pretty damn good. So now you know just about all the spots that the car rusts. That should help you. The only thing I wanted to try and find quickly before I let you all go was some sections. So this one here, as you can see, there's rust on this. Came from the rear where we just were at a minute ago. This one here I haven't actually showed you, but this is actually the gutter in the car at the front. This fits in here, and it's a perfect fit because this is where it came from originally. This here holds water on the angle that the car is on, and that just goes to show that this was a poor manufacturing job done. As you can see, we've tried to make a new one. It's not perfect, but it's perfect. This is for the rear. It's not a perfect fit, but it's pretty well done. This one piece of steel goes in here, but we didn't do nothing yet. But now you know where this goes. That we have done work to this car. This here is one of the vents, and it belongs to this. It's bent up like crazy because it was a pain in the neck to get off, but its bubbly glue made it vulnerable to a lot of rusting. It's holding the water in there and making it a problem. Now this piece here came from roughly here. So as you can see, this was a small section I cut out, but when I pulled the rest of this out, because we actually did pull it all out, we only cut this out after we decided we're going to put a new whole piece of steel in there. I don't think I've showed you guys, but here's the rust in an odd spot. You'd not suspect it. Now, what you'll find before finding the rust, if I can find one of those pieces of steel. Ah, I know where they are. So these, I'm not sure which one goes to which side. But these came off of these sides. If I can get the right one, I'll finish the other one now. I may show you where this comes from. Roughly. and I think I got it wrong. This is the wrong one again. I'm sorry. I had the wrong one the first time I had it. So, when this was back on, there's a piece of steel in between here, and this was here. This covered most of the rust and you could not see it. And this is your gutter. This is the only section you can take off really quickly to have a look down the sides. If you have an inspection mirror, you may find out if there's any rust really quickly. As you can see, there's some rust there. This hasn't been touched, but this metal is going to get reconditioned and repainted. A lot of work has been put into this car, but if I can find a shortcut, I can get the job done sooner. That looks like it's turning moldy. That's most of the rust on this car that I know of. I'm sorry that I could not find this one piece of steel I was looking for, and I still might be able to find it if I finish looking through here. But unfortunately it's not here anymore, so I either lost it or I chucked it out. But it bubbles up, just a little bit of bubbling, and you'll notice when you scratch with a screwdriver that it pulls apart really easy. So I don't know how to exactly explain this to you guys. We do have to make a piece to fit in here still, but this was easier for me to see. The rust was here, and this completely goes into the interior of the car. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. The more people like my content, the more I'll post for my YouTubers. And for you guys who have seen this through an ad, this is for you guys to know what you're dealing with when it comes to a ZL. If it's been out in the weather or not, it still will have rust even if it's been inside because of condensation in the air. The only reason this side's whiter than this side is because this had a tarp over it for a very long period of time. So for you guys who are looking at that because you want to know what you're up against or what type of car I want in what condition, now you know that I want a good condition body because that one's condition is pretty poor. Put it on A and 2 roughly, or 1. It's too weak. Put it on B and here. It's too powerful and the metal melts too quickly on the car. This is still a good piece of steel, can be reused. The only reason this is still on there is because of penetration from some of my welding and it's stick. So now you know about the car, about the rust, Now, if you have rust on your car and we find it using inspection camera, which it would cost you $60 from Super Cheap, and it's via USB, we can find out easily if the car has rust. I do not want a car with much rust at all. So if there's rust in these sections, it gives me a headache of a job, and I don't want it. Especially if it's major and it makes holes and water gets in the car. Otherwise, alternative, bring down the price. I get it sandblasted and painted in those sections, and voila, job done. The last thing I will tell you is they'll tell you that your car may be rusting in those sections is not just by that, but if it's rusting on the bonnet like this and it's going straight through the paint, then there's definitely going to be this rust in these sections. You may not see them, you may think your car is perfect, but I seriously would doubt it. But if it is, I'm happy to pay. If it isn't, then find another buyer or bring down the price to compensate. Thanks, goodbye, and thanks for watching. And I hope to hear from you